Hey everybody, I'm headed out to go look at a piece of public property. It's February and we just had a big rainstorm come through last night. I'm going to check out a piece of property. I've looked at it a couple times, but I had never done any late season scouting on it. So I'm going to go down there and kind of follow some transitions and see if I can find any good big buck sign. And at least put eyes on something, getting ready for next year. So y'all stay tuned. Well, I'm walking this little edge here. There's a right out there's a road, kind of an entryway where everybody walks in, and the parking lot is back that way. So basically I was walking this upper edge. It's kind of a hill. There's a rub. I don't know if y'all see it somewhere right over in there. Anyway, I walk a little closer to it. Pretty good sized rub. I'm not finding a ton of signs, some old rubs, very old, nothing really fresh. But I figured that I'd walk this edge up here because there's a transition. I don't know if you can see or not, but it's pretty thick back up there. And then as you kind of turn around, it opens up. And if a buck was trying to watch people walk in, because sometimes they'll do that, I figured there might be a bed up here on this upside of this hill. I didn't find anything, found a few doe beds, some droppings, one little bitty finger rub, but that was about it. But I did find this rub right here. The only thing weird about it is I don't see really any gouge marks, but there's shavings on the ground. It's kind of questionable, but it looks like it might be a rub, but it's not traditionally what I would, find. So I'm kind of 50-50 on whether it's a rub or not. Anyway, I'm gonna push back across the road, see if I can't locate some buck bedding or anything else. I'm gonna walk the lower side of this too and see if there might be some sign going in and out. So right here you got kind of a little low swampy area, a lot of low river birch trees, grass. And in the beginning of the season, this is going to give them a lot of cover. They're going to have a lot of spots the big deer might feel comfortable bedding in here. I hadn't been in here yet, so I totally don't know if it's going to be good or not. I would think if I go in here, I might find some rubs on some of these river birch trees, because deer in the past and bottoms I've hunted have gone into, they like to rub river birch trees and stuff. But I'm gonna walk in here, see if I find any bedding, old bedding, something they might have used back in the early part of the season. You never know. It's a pretty good place to hide if you're a deer. Another thing is where I'm gonna look for beds. It's gonna be like, say, this tree right here. I'm gonna look for beds that are gonna be on the back side of it. South is gonna be that way. I don't know if you can see it directly that way. And north is going to be above me. Now, if a deer in the summertime is bedding in here, I would think he'd be on the south side of the tree. And you see he's got these low branches right here. He's going to have plenty of shade in the summer, so he can sit here, not get too hot, and the wind come over his back, so he can smell everything that's up on that ridge or in these big woods here. And he can sit here. He's got pretty good open line of sight. Anything coming through here. Another thing too is it's got some water, and I don't know if I'll have water in the summertime. But if it does, he'll also hear you coming. So it gives him kind of a good feature to stay safe. So I'm gonna keep pushing in here, see if I can find any beds under these trees, maybe last summer. So I'm still walking through this swamp, and found this little like oak island. As you can see in here, it's pretty open, and like everything around it is thick cover. There's several pin oaks in here, which those will drop down here in the south. Probably mid-south, probably about, end of October, 1st November, these will start dropping pretty good. And, it might be a good spot for them to come in here, feel safe feeding. You got security cover all the way around it. It's a good ways from the parking lot and areas where people would hunt, because a lot of these trees in here you can't climb unless you got to this spot. Somebody probably has found this, but it doesn't look like there's a lot of sign in here, so maybe this will be a good spot. All right, I've been walking through these bottoms. They're real flat, as you can see out here, flat as a pancake. And on the Onyx, I looked up and I saw there's a little rise. It's a pretty good one. right here, you got a big hard transition here where this ridge kind of peters out. It goes into a big swamp thicket right there. And there's a river further down that way. Sometimes these transitions can be pretty good. You can find some sign right along the edges of them where they break up and stuff. So I'm gonna go up here and look, see what this ridge looks like. Right there, that right there is why I'm not coming back to this spot on this WMA. Not to mention the fact that I didn't see a whole lot of sign. There was a couple of rubs. Saw more people sign than deer sign. This is probably highly pressured. It's a little piece. After I walked the hard way around, I found out everything's pretty accessible with this one road that comes through I'm on now. So I'm almost back to the truck. It's got the good habitat and everything. It looks a little better for turkeys than it does for deer, but it'll probably get hammered for them too. So I'm marking this spot off my list. I didn't find anything I wanted, nothing that really showed me that there was hardly any deer here anyway. Now this is in the CWD zone, and it's kind of in the heart of it where it all started. So it's hit or miss. Some pieces of property have good deer populations, some pieces of property don't have such good deer populations. This one looks like it's very pressured, and also with the CWD, just not a lot of quality deer on this place. So marking this off my spot. You never know till you walk a piece of property and try. I'm not saying there's not deer here. There might be on a further spot that's really inaccessible. You can only get to it by boat, which I have. And I've ridden in there before, and it's not, you know, it can be a hard ride if the water's not up in the river right. But anyway, off to the next spot. All right, day 2 of scouting. I'm out here at a new spot I just found on the map. It's a small piece of public, not too far from the house again. Trying to find places around the house where it see if I can find some big buck sign. Anyway, I'm gonna go walk around. Kind of ridgy, walks down to the bottom. So we'll see what we find. Found a decent little rub on the tree. Right there, it's not super high, but it's the best one I found in here so far. Not a whole lot of rubs in here right now that I'm seeing. But I'd like to find something a little bigger, a little taller. Keep pushing. Starting to find a little better stuff back in here. Getting further away from the entry into this WMA. Found a few more rubs going in this thicket here. Maybe I can find some bedding or something up in here. I don't know if y'all can see, it's real thick in here. And there's a little green field over there. So maybe the deer will work this edge. It's kind of a long, like real brushy area. Everything pretty much looks like that over there. Kind of runs along the edges of the private and the public. I think the deer would probably be in here if there's any good signs. Those aren't too shabby for last year's rubs. I just, you know, put a point mark here. There's another rub right there. Nothing real high up on a tree, but at least I know there's some bucks using this in here. It's more sign than I found anywhere else in here. Right over here you got a road. It's far back here. I don't think like people, they'd have to walk a long way through a lot of stuff to get back here to this road. And the private's right over there. But it seems like there's a trail just walking right off this road about 15 yards. So I'm looking in here to see if a buck might be bedded up somewhere close to that where he can watch the road and still have cover to make it off into that escape, you know, cover right there, get back in there. So might be a good little area. I'm still in the same area. I found those 2 rubs, but still not seeing just a ton of sign in here. Still looks. All right, I'm walking in this swampy little area right now. You see it's real open. I think most people probably tend to stay in the open, but I see a pretty good rub in here on a pine tree and decently tall. I always gravitate to the spots that are more, you know, that are thicker. And of course you want to try to stay away from people. But that ain't a bad rub right there. Best one I found walking through here so far. There's a bunch of pine trees in here, but I'm just not seeing a whole lot of big deer, you know, big tall rubs. But that one, I don't know if you can see or not. But let's see, that one's about right here where you're hitting it. About that belly button high. So that's kind of encouraging. I'll make a mark right here. That one probably was done, I'd say probably during the rut. There's still some scrapings down on the ground, but it's got sap coming out of it, so it's not new. But of course this is February, so everything's gonna be a little bit, you know, a little old. Got a dead deer. Doe. Kind of looked at this big tree, I thought it might be a bed under it, but just a dead deer. Something she laid under it. She's died under it too. Well, I found my first bed. I don't know how good y'all can see that right there, that little low, kind of an indention in the ground. It's pretty good size. Got a rub right here. I'm not far from where I found that last rub, small rub right by it. I don't know if y'all can see that, but basically this is what he's looking at. You got a road that runs right here, and you can see the wind. So I'm looking southwest, so the wind out of the north or northeast will be blowing over my back, and I got good sight right here. And I'll show you, looking back in here, see all this is kind of hanging over the top of him, and from the ground, if you're walking up, he's going to get a good sight line of you right there where that tree is if you're coming up and down these woods, and he can just jump right back into there, and it's really thick. Here's a road, pretty good big road right here where, you know, people can walk down. But again, we're still far back in the spot, and that's pretty cool. It's the first bed for the year that I found, but only 2 days of scouting. And look at there, there's old deer stand too. My dad always used to tell me, you find those old wooden ladder stands like that, you need to mark that spot on your map, because it was at one time a good spot where deer like traveling. They'll always travel there. I think I see another rub up here. Yeah, it's an older one, kind of low, it's not big. There's a bunch of rubs back up here in this little pine spot, pine thicket area. Yeah, there's another rub. Low though, it's not mid-thigh. Still not quite what I'm looking for, but if he's still alive, maybe he'll be bigger next year. Got another rub here too. Same little area as that last bed. Another thing I meant to say before I got this far was that there's not a lot of people sign back here either. I'm getting kind of the north end of it, and there's, you know, private land, so they can of course access this, but from what I'm seeing, there's not a lot of just people tracks, lots of deer tracks back here, and the signs starting to pick up. So that shows to the point that, you know, you get away from people, you're gonna start finding more signs. There's another rub right there. Let's see that on that tree. Well, that was a little taller, a little skinny tree, but it's tall. So definitely finding more stuff than I found at my first spot I went to the other day. That spot didn't have anything on it. So anyway, hope y'all are enjoying this little vlog slash scouting that I'm doing right now. Well, I'm headed back to the truck, and man, I walked this whole thing. It's a lot of been walking for about an hour and a half, and found a little bit of sign on the farthest back place where you'd expect, and ran into a couple of guys out here squirrel hunting or rabbit hunting. So I stopped and I asked them, you know, about this WMA part. I asked them about the deer. They said, of course, right up here front. Said, no, we don't ever see many deer on here. Said no turkeys either. And I asked them, I said, y'all deer hunt? They said, no, we just rabbit hunt. About scared the heck out of them. I walked up on them. I was watching their dogs. Anyway, so it's always good to stop and talk to people. if you see them out on a piece of land. You never know. They might tell you some good information. They might be keeping it for themselves, but you never know till you ask. Anyway, this place doesn't look super promising either. Like I said, again, CWD zone, Tennessee, we have a long gun season from this year, October 31st till January 31st. So a lot of deer get killed, and it's pretty much shoot everything. So trying to find a big buck in this area of Tennessee is gonna be kind of hard, especially on public. On private, they're there. On public, it's hard. So I'm gonna keep on pushing, keep on trying to find something on some of this public for next year. Till the next video or the next segment of this video. See y'all later.